Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm going to be looking at a few of the new reveals. Some of these have been talked about. Actually, they've all been talked about a little bit by some other people. This is probably going to be releasing like a day or two late, but I hope I have some interesting insights because there's actually a lot of stuff to talk about with them. First of all, there's the Jirachi here, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. I actually talked about on the podcast, which should have come out yesterday, so you can hear a little more about that there if you want to. But then also, it's counter Sableye, so a lot of people are really interested in this card because a lot of people don't like Sableye. Me as well. Some pretty much it says it's bench barrier, but from damage counters. So your opponent, if they want to do bench damage counters, they can't do it to your bench. Something like Sableye still can hit your active. It's not going to kill Lost Box by any means, but it will be a solid tech in that matchup, depending what deck you're running. They can gust it up and then cancel clone it, and they can also just, of course, uh, attack with like anything else in the deck, pretty much. I don't think anything else does damage counters to the bench. Keep in mind they can still hit the active, so stuff like, say, Mimikyu still does its regular damage, and that's not affected at all. My Medical Energy also is another card revealed that heals 30 when you attach it as a colorless. It's okay. It's not particularly good, but it may see play in a few decks here and there. Rika, I think we've seen this before, and it's not very good. And this is Goldengo. This Goldengo is really cool looking. In the Gimme Ghoul, they like kind of stack like that, which is fun. Aside from that, though, we've seen those cards before, or we've seen the Goldengo and Rika before. So let's move on to the bigger deal. Oh, that's Donkey Kong. I don't know what's happening on these ads. PokeBeach has weird ads. Yeah, so these are going to be in apparently Ancient War and Future Flash, which is coming out on October. This is going to be in our Paradox Rift, our December set. So we'll have to wait, a few months for that. But this will be the last set before rotation as well. I believe rotation. I don't know the exact details, but this will be the last set before that. I'm pretty sure the set after that will likely come out with rotation. Yeah, and that's about it. So then we did see some cards already revealed. But I'm going to look at the new reveals first. So first of all, the main mechanic here is going to be what's it called? I think it's called Future, yeah, and Ancient. So there are Pokemon, and we'll see like trainer cards that are future and past. This is just like the battle styles. Essentially functions identically, which is pretty cool. I guess personally, I like these more than the battle styles, as I think the idea is more interesting. Past and like future, ancient, future. I think it should have been past and future, but ancient and future is fine as well. It's like more of an interesting gimmick. You see the arts here as well. You see this big like blue I guess like data. It's supposed to be like data and like internet stuff or something. It's supposed to represent something like that. That is going to be represented on these future cards, which is pretty cool. Keep in mind they are all. This doesn't change type, but it is going to look a little different. And then ancient Pokemon. Let me find another one. Say this trainer card here. You see it's like a canyon, like Grand Canyon looking thing. I assume that's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, so that's pretty cool as well. I think it looks super good. In addition to having this symbol in the upper right, which says, I'll go to the English cards that we've had revealed. This one, this looks really nice. You can see a nice contrast. Ancient with like rocks, and then future with like tech or alien or like stuff like that. So then let's look at the new cards. Some of these cards are insane. Notably Iron Hands EX, obviously an EX here, a basic. Let's see, can you see that? It's cut off. No, it's not cut off, so you can pretty much see that. And Iron Hands EX 210 H. No. Okay, this is slightly wrong. It's 230 HP. I'm assuming the rest of the translations are right. But for 3, you do 160. That's pretty mediocre. It's not like awful. It's something you could use, but generally there are a number of things that are better than this. So it's a nice backup. Of course, it being lightning. This is 2 lightning as well. The other attack's only 1 lightning. And the main attack you want to be using here, Strength Amplifier 120, and your opponent's active. If they're KO'd, you take an extra price. This is like insane. For 4 energy, this is probably played in like Miraidon. And Miraidon is okay right now. It's not. I don't think it's the best deck, but I think it's an okay deck. It is. This fits nicely. It's a basic attacker. Keep in mind, it doesn't really cover you in like it's it doesn't cover the weakness where if you get basic blocked or if you get ability or if you sorry you get multi-prize blocked, so you hit by something like Baby Mimikyu or you're hit by like Flying Pikachu, both those are bad for you. This does not cover that, but aside from that, I think this card is very strong, as it is good against single prize decks, notably Lost Zone, and will give you a nice and easy matchup there, I think. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward card. Next, and I don't think you'd play in anything else. I don't think you'd put this in your own Lost Zone deck. You could if you wanted, and I can't think of anything else you'd play it in, but it's a generally kind of cool card. And only one lightning if we do see some type of like if you played Luminous Energy plus a form of energy acceleration that could get the energy on here, it could work out, but I don't think you'd put this in a toolbox style deck right now. It's a bit too awkward. By the way, these are all basics, I believe, so that's okay. It's a little bit limiting in how they can design it, but I think overall they're kind of cool. Slitherwing, which does for one fighting. First of all, 140 HP is pretty solid, and you mill one. I don't think that's that good, but it's not awful either. You could try to give this Pokemon some bulk. There are a few ways to give it more HP and stuff like that, and then try to like penny loop it. I don't think that would go super well, but against a deck like say Lost Zone, that might not be the worst strategy. But then for two fighting, you do 90, or sorry, 120, 90 to yourself, and it burns. We've seen attacks like this, like we saw the one with a few that are like paralysis, and you damage yourself. Except for of course, burn is not very good. You're essentially hitting 140. You could maybe even look up, like say, oh, burn. Maybe it actually is like 60 more. So you're hitting 180, but even that's not that good. So this card is not particularly good, unfortunately, especially because burn does not hit weakness. You'd rather actually probably hit 140. Because it will not be like one-shotting Arceus V-Star. Next up, Sandy Shock CX, though, another ancient Pokemon, another fighting Pokemon. Not all of the ancient Pokemon are fighting, and not all the future Pokemon are lightning, but these happen to be that way. So yeah, we got Sandy Shock's EX, and this one's pretty interesting. First of all, its attack here is 220, can attack next turn for fighting colorless. Not particularly good, but not awful. But then you have Magnetic Attraction, an ability that says it can be used once during a turn if your opponent has 4 fewer prize cards remaining. That's going to be a good chunk of the game. So after they've KO'd one Pokemon, you can start accelerating to itself, and that says attach a basic fighting energy from your discard to this Pokemon. That's okay. It will power itself up over a course of a few turns. I don't hate this in a deck like, say, Tinglu, where you're kind of slow, or any like fighting deck right now, really, because then you can Thornton into it. It's a bit awkward, though. It's not like the prettiest thing in the world. I'm not like a major fan of Sandy Shocks here, but I think there is some potential. That being said, you might just rather use like Raihan. So Sandy Shocks is only okay. I don't think it's like a broken card. Next up, we have Iron Jugulus here. Actually, no, I think Sandy Shocks is kind of bad, but there's a chance it'll end up finding a place in the meta because it's just a little bit interesting. Iron Jugulus here, some people are really excited about this one I saw. And this is a future Pokemon for 3 colors. The main attack here, I guess, it does 50 and 30 to, 50 to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon that already have damage on them. 150 for 3 in a basic, that's not bad. Like as a spread attack, this is okay. Again, kind of fits into a Lost Box style deck. You hit him with Sableye, and then you hit him with Iron Jugulus. That's okay. And this is like a good chunk of damage, more than anything in a single prize Lost Zone deck, other than like Radiant Ninja. It depends on the list you're playing. It hits probably less than Kyogre though. So no, I don't hate this Iron Jugulus. I think it's definitely a card that we'll see some play in probably Lost Zone. And then you have another attack for 5 colors, 150, but it's actually 3 colors for 150, or the other way around, I suppose. 150 for 3 colors, and if it has Future Boost Energy Capsule attached, which is a tool that's actually good. There's 2 Booster Energy Capsule cards, one for Future and one for Ancient, and they're both very good cards. And then it costs 3 colors instead. 150 to the active is not that good though. It's an option. It's not like the worst option. I honestly don't remember exactly what the tool does, so I need to look if that helps it a bunch or not. Okay, oh, it's right here. Future Booster Energy Capsule. So the future Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost, and the attacks do 20 more to your opponent's active. Okay, so actually buff up to 170 for 3. And then you have no retreat. This is good. And let's look at it with this Pokemon as well. So buff you to so for your treat, a pivot in a Rhydon deck is really nice. And then you also do 120. So you're doing 140, which isn't actually that much better. I can't think. I guess it's good against Radiant Greninja. Um, that's about it, but it's okay in this. I don't think it's that broken on those two, but there's three later that we'll look at as well. And then Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 60 HP. What? That's a lot. It recovers from all special conditions and can't be affected by them. So special conditions aren't a huge deal. We've seen a few Pokemon that do special conditions, but in the current meta, people aren't really playing them. So I don't think the special conditions thing is a huge deal, but 60 HP is pretty good. I'd say this other one, 20 more damage plus for your retreat is very good. But they're both solid. And then we got the professors, Professor Sada's Determination. Um, and then choose up to two. Okay, yeah, these cards are like broken. So choose up to two your ancient Pokemon, attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of them, and then draw three. If this sounds similar to other cards, it's like Welder or like Melanie or like Gardenia's, but this is very good. It's any type of basic energy. It's to only ancient Pokemon, but that's So let's look at the ancient Pokemon again now, I suppose. Yeah, this isn't that good. Those aren't that good, but we'll look at the other ones as well. I think it could be okay with Roaring Moon, actually. We'll see. And then we got Earth's Vessel. So Earth's Vessel is another really interesting card here. It's an item, just a normal item. You must discard, but this doesn't have to be used in the ancient deck. Keep that in mind. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this card. Switch your deck for up to two basic energy cards. Reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. This card's like completely broken. I mean, not completely broken, but it's really good. I think this will see play in not every deck, but probably 50% or more of the decks in the game right now. Searching for two basic energy isn't necessarily super useful in every deck, but it's okay, and it is a way to discard cards from your hand, which is crazy. Like, right, so this is an auto include in Shanpao, of course. Maybe not 50% of the decks right now, but I think it will open the doors to new decks because discarding cards from your hand is very difficult right now. This is kind of like the thing with the battle styles where, say, a card like the Mustards, who obviously would only play with their battle styles because they don't do anything with any other deck. Like you could play Mustard in like an Arceus deck, but it's to get a single strike Pokemon to play, or Rapid Strike. But and then you have cards like say Fana Waves, which you wouldn't play in Battle Styles based decks. Same thing with like Bruno. So Earth's Vessel is going to be one that we're not going to play necessarily in an ancient deck. I don't know if it has specific interactions even with the ancient cards, but it probably will. But I don't know if any of those have been revealed yet. But then you see that this is like very good. Just being able to discard a card from your hand is nice. I mean, it's an auto include in Shinpao. It's also probably good in maybe Gardevoir. I wouldn't hate it in that deck. I kind of like it. You could play this in. I don't hate this in Lost Zone, but it might not be the card you're looking for. But you often have cards you can discard in your hand because you end up with the big hand. And most of the cards are good, but certainly not all of them. Like Battle VIP Pass, you want to get that out of there. And probably maybe that's about it for now. Oh, maybe Lugia. Obviously not to search energies, but to just discard a card from your hand. It's not bad because you need to discard. Overall, I think Earth Vessel is like a broken card. It might not be broken in this current meta, but as I said, discarding is very awkward. The only discard card in the entire format, the only item that just discards for anything is Ultra Ball, which sometimes you don't want two discarded, but more importantly, you can only play 4 Ultra Ball, and you won't have those when you need it necessarily. So this is going to be very good, I think. I mean, I'm hyping it up a lot. It's like, I mean, Professor Sada's Determination is probably better. Is it just like Welder from the disc? It's like super broken. It's not Welder, but it's very good. And then we see Professor Taro, if the ancient Pokemon are good. Professor Taro's scenario then, put one of your Pokemon into your hand. Sorry, I was like confused by the wording. And then discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. So this has nothing to do with future, but this is literally a Z, I believe. I believe it's the same thing. Where you just return any Pokemon. It's kind of like Penny, but Penny is only for basics, but you keep the cards. This you could play in. I don't really know what you'd play this in, but there are like some decks where you'd play, say, like Volo, which like does something similar, but it's more awkward probably. So I think Professor Taro's scenario is definitely going to be a very good card because being able to return a card in play into your hand, essentially just as like a healing card, is going to be very nice here. And then we see, I'm not sure exactly what, maybe Gudra, Giratina, I'm not sure, but like decks that like tank and stuff. And then we have Techno Radar. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this card. Search deck for up to 2 future Pokemon cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So I believe these. So yeah, these have to be Pokemon. Um, so this is okay. I mean, in a future deck, you'd probably play this. Um, I suppose I'm trying to think if there's like a utility-based future Pokemon that would be very good, but if there's not, this is only okay. And would see playing those future decks sometimes, but not even always, and not in high counts because you really want to be able to reach your non-future cards as well, most likely. But then we see Mela. So these last 2 cards are not going to be future or past Pokemon, which I believe what's the term? Is it Paradox cards? I don't know if there's an official term in the TCG. They redeemed their Paradox Pokemon, but I don't know if in the TCG they're all going to be called Paradox cards or if it's something else that they make up. But anyway, so we got Mela. Interesting. You can only just play this if any of your Pokemon were knocked out last turn. So there are a lot of cards like that right now as well, which is kind of interesting, or a number at least. The best of which is Bryon. And then attach 1 basic Fire Energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon. If you do, draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Okay, yeah, this is the other one like Welder. Um, this is pretty good. Obviously, you need to be playing fire. And then I'm trying to think where. Oh, well, you could play some Charizard EX. It's probably good there because you can search out with Pidgeot. This card is very good. It's a little bit awkward, but I think it opens the gate to some pretty interesting combos and stuff like that. And kind of will replace Melanie in decks that well, Melanie will be rotating, so it'll replace Melanie in those types of decks. Generally, water type is a better type than fire type, but it's like an Arceus deck. We need a type. Mela will be there, and then you can pair this with Radiant Charizard, so you'll have a nice firebox. And of course, you can't use this when you haven't been knocked out, but I think Mela is going to be a pretty alright card. You're obviously comparing it very much to Raihan, so we'll see how exactly it goes. And then Tulip here, put any combination of 4 Psychic Pokemon and basic Psychic Energy from your discard into your hand. This is Nessa. This is I think it's the same as something else, but I don't know what that something else is. But I'm gonna say that like this is okay. I mean, if you're playing Guardy, this could be good. It could be good with something else. But let's look at the other cards that were also revealed. So we got the ancient ones. We got Roaring Moon, which this one's very good. It does either an instant KO and 200 to itself, or 100 or 220 if you have a stadium for a dark colorless, both of those attacks. So it pairs decently nicely with Sanda's Determination. You can use that to get energy attached to them, and then use Dark Patch. So you attach one, Sanda's Determination one, Dark Patch one, and you've gotten a Roaring Moon set up, which is going to be nice. And then you also have, let's see, the tool, which gives you 6 more HP, which is nice because then, actually, it's not like that useful. You're going to go, instead of being at 30, you're at 90, which is notable. Once you've attacked with Frenzied Gouging, or you could, which is kind of a bit of a violent name, I think, but yeah, and then you go from 230 to 290, which is actually a pretty big deal. 290 is a nice number to be at because there are a number of things that hit 280. That's what decks are aiming to do, so that's pretty good. Screamtail is really interesting here, as it does more for each damage counter on it. So you could play some Guardy, then you get more damage counters on it using Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, which could be good. But then also like you could just play something like Bravery Charm, which gives you 50 more, which isn't quite as good, obviously, but it's more like universal. So I don't know. I think you probably don't play the booster energy capsule. And then we see last one here, Brute Bonnet. It's just only does its thing if you have the ancient booster energy capsule attached. And then you may make both active Pokemon poisoned with your ability, which is actually pretty good. I think that's not bad at all. Keep in mind, then you actually have a 180 HP attacker with 120 HP. You could run this in Lost Zone to get some extra damage. Oh, and it recovers from special conditions. So if this is your active, it just won't get poisoned, which is nice. I don't hate Brute on it. I know you see the tool does. It's okay. It's not like broken, but it's okay. And then let's see the future Pokemon. Oh, these are broken. So Iron Valiant says once on your turn, when it moves from the bench to the active, you may put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active. But then we see that the tool gives it free retreat. And you hit 20 more. Your attack here is going to be doing 200, so you're hitting 220. This isn't very good in Lost Zone. I think this is going to be an auto include in Lost Zone decks. Going for not in every Lost Zone, but many Lost Zone decks. You're going to have 220 HP, hitting 220 damage. With tachyon bits or whatever. And so you like do extra damage. I think this card is like super broken. Maybe it's not as good as I think, but it seems very good, and I think it's gonna be like a great card in the meta. It's a really fun card as well. I like the Rapid Strike Italian where you place damage counters. And then the supporter, or no, oh, then you have this like tool, which gives you let's just search it out, which is good, I guess. Iron Moth here, when it moves to the bench in the active, move fire to it. Yeah, this card's not very good. You do hit 140 instead of 120, which is like better, but it's not that much better. An Iron Bundle, if it's the defending Pokemon evolution, it can't attack next turn. You're hitting 100. That isn't that much better. I don't think it helps fix too much math. And then if it's on the bench, you can switch your opponent's active to the bench. And then you like discard it. I don't think this Iron Bundle's particularly helped out by. I suppose it's helped out by Techno Raider because you can search it, but I think that's about it. But overall, I think these cards are super hype, and I'm really looking forward to running these. I think that the best ones, Iron Hands, is very good. Obviously, the draft we looked at was good, but Iron Hands is going to be very good here. From Rhydon, I think Iron Jugulis is a possible play in Lost Zone. I think both booster energy capsules are, of course, very good. I think that Sada's Determination is very good with Roaring Moon. I think Earth Vessel is insane as it fills a role of like not being able to discard and being able to search out energies, which is nice. Professor Turo's scenario is going to be good in some decks. Techno Raiders, whatever. Mela is going to be nice. I'm not sure exactly where. Possibly encouraging Radiant Charizard. And then, yeah, Tulips, like good in Guardia, I guess. Maybe something else, but probably not. And then you could play this in Lost Zone as well. I suppose it gets back Comfy's Sableye and Psychic Energies, which is not too bad, but you probably don't play this. And then yeah, these ones as I talked about before, Iron Valiant good, and Roaring Moon are good. Like the EXs are good. Brute Bonnet and Iron Bundle are also okay. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are on these new cards, and if there are new cards that have been revealed since then. Let me just check. There haven't been any since recording this. Oh, new stuff, but these are like trademarks. Yes. So not too much. Oh, there's a new Oddish coming out. It's not particularly good, but it is from Path to the Peak. I don't know what this link. Oh yeah, this link is to Path to the Peak. So there's some new cards presumably coming out some point soon that are possibly English exclusives. Wait a second. I don't think you can play that Oddish. Oh, but you can. Maybe you can. Maybe it is going to be coming out in Japan as well. But I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about these cards, what you think the best ones are. And as always, I'm excited to see you next time.